Welcome to a really exciting episode of the Marathon. You and I, we're heading to Victoria. My name's Mare. Welcome to the Marathon. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I'd love it if you laced up and subscribed today. I am heading to Victoria to do a keynote tomorrow, and I thought I would bring you along. Today is just gonna be a lot of like driving montages, and I'm gonna answer one of your questions that was left on a recent video, a very specific question. And I thought it would just be fun. I get so many requests, especially from people who aren't from the area, to show the topography and the scenery, and I think we may even see snow today, even though it's April 8th. Yeah, so I'm really excited. Tonight, gonna have dinner with my aunts and my uncle, and I'm staying with one of my aunts. And then tomorrow, which I think will probably be in the next video, I get to meet my assistant, Sarah Supergreat, who has been my assistant since the middle of last year. I've never met her, and she is coming down to have lunch, and then we're gonna work in the afternoon, and she's actually coming to the keynote to help me like sell merch and film some of the keynote for you and take some photos. So there's a lot of moving parts on this trip, which I'm really excited about. I would like to say proudly, this is my purse on this trip, everybody. All the dowdy comments, I got it. So, I mean, I also have a car full of luggage, so maybe I shouldn't be as cocky as that, but one whole suitcase is merch, then another whole bag is work stuff. Anyway, yeah, and then yesterday we hung out with my mom. Thomas had a swimming lesson. Basically just prepped for this trip. And, oh, I know what I was gonna tell you. I am listening to this album called Portraits by Grace and Chance. I don't think, maybe you'll be able to see it. So Grace and Chance, if you, like, that name sounds familiar, he was that little, like, I wanna say 10-year-old, maybe even younger, on Ellen, like, 10 years ago, when, remember, he like had that piano cover of Paparazzi, and then she signed him to her record label, which I don't even know if that exists anymore. Anyways, he's back, and he's like in his 20s, and he has this album, and he was on Ellen last week, and the album is solid front to back. It's so good. That's what I'm listening to right now. Anyway, so enjoy some B-roll of scenery of BC, and as we're driving, I'll answer this question from a marathoner, which I'll keep anonymous, but it's one that I have a lot of opinions on, for sure. But right now I'm gonna do some work, because it's Monday, and she's self-employed. Trip snack. This is normal, right? A giant bag of vegetables, some grapes, and just hummus on my lap. Ooh, hummus on my lap. Should that be the name of my book? Just kidding. This is the Coquihalla that we're on right now, and it's an interesting stretch of highway called a variable speed corridor. So you go past all these like digital signs, and it tells you what the speed limit is. So depending on the weather and traffic. Also, fun fact, I hate being behind a logging truck. That worked out well as I vlog. This is like such a Canadian image right here. Passing a logging truck on a mountain highway. Yeah, wow. I just don't trust it. Makes me nervous. Anyway, making good time. It's only 11:15. Stopped for the second Starbucks of the day. Oh, look at that. If I was a Instagrammer, that'd be a great picture. Although it says, like, my name changed. Mare. I don't blame them at Starbucks. No one's named Mare. They always just look at me. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Anyways, road trip's going good. I managed to get some work done, and I'm hoping this isn't too bumpy, but I'm gonna answer a question from one of you. Is it enough to have just your own pride and satisfaction in your job, or do you think it's important to be recognized for a job well done? I have been finding in my current job, we rarely receive praise or recognition, and it's been getting to me despite being proud of my contributions and knowing in my heart I am a valuable asset. Would appreciate your thoughts as always. Girl, I can so relate to this. I've definitely been in jobs and professional situations where I really didn't feel appreciated. I was always wondering whether I was doing a good job, if my boss was happy with me, if they weren't. And I think there's a few ways to go about it. If you are totally in the dark, like not knowing whether you are doing a good job, whether you're performing as you should, I think it's okay to ask, like maybe ask for a performance review or just to check in. But if they're like, no, everything's good, like we're happy, it's all good, your boss or your superior, maybe it's just not in their nature to give praise. Maybe it's a compliment to you because you're doing such a good job that they don't feel like they have to always be checking on you. That's definitely what I've been in before. Like, oh, Mare's just super responsible. But Mare also likes to know whether she's, you know, doing a good job or not. So I have been in that situation, and I have found it's really difficult, honestly, because you want to know whether you're doing a good, like that's just human nature to want to receive praise and to know whether or not things are going well. So in previous situations, I have found that it's super helpful to have some camaraderie at work. So, you know, other colleagues, if you maybe start telling them they're doing a good job, and maybe they'll be telling you it's the same, like find support, maybe just like from your peers at work if you're not getting it from the superiors. And often I have found too that like the superiors or the people who I'm looking for confirmation that I'm doing a good job from, it has nothing to do with me. They're just like overworked, or they're busy, or you know, they have everyone's like so self-absorbed and self-obsessed anyways. Maybe they're wondering if they're doing a good job too. Often no news is good news. But still, it is nice to know. I think it's you, I do know what you specifically do for a living. This marathoner who left this question, you do really important work, girl, like really important work. So hold in that, like know that you're helping people, and whether you're in a profession that is, say, like the health industry, or you're like actually saving lives, or like for me, when Farm and I did our morning show, I really took pride in the fact that I knew I was helping people like start their day off right, that they were getting a laugh, that they were being touched, that they were feeling less alone, they were like getting pumped up with good music. Like you might think like, oh, you're just on the radio, like what, you know, that's not very important work, but I was able to really find my own sort of like gratification in that. And then Farm and I really became each other's support. We would like, you know, tell each other we were doing a good job. And I also am someone who I like to tell people when they're doing a good job, and it makes, you can tell, it makes them feel good, and you can tell when it hasn't happened in a long time. So maybe just start being the like spreader of the good joy, if that's, spreader, is that even a word? I don't think so, but you know what I mean. Like if that's important to you and you want to cultivate that in the workplace, maybe start doing that among you and your peers and your colleagues, finding it from whoever can get it. But quite often I think you just have to know that you're doing a good job, and you can't look for it from outside sources, unfortunately. That's been my experience anyway. I think some people just don't give compliments, and it's something that, you know, we've talked about before. Whether you see someone who like looks nice and you think like you want to say that they do, and then sometimes people don't take it well. I myself don't take compliments very well. I'm starting to get better at it, but it's not my strong suit, that's for sure. So I hope that answers your question. I think it's okay to want that, but sometimes you just have to find it in yourself. You know you're doing good work, and maybe like you could leave that in a performance review if you have the ability to, you know, if they say like, what would you like more of? Don't say like, I'd like you to tell me I'm doing a good job, you know, but you can, I'm sure you can figure out how to word it. But know that you are doing like important work, no matter what your job is. I think everyone's job is important. Like, I am super appreciative of the people who work at IGA and at Starbucks, and I'm appreciative of my lawyer, I'm appreciative of my colleagues. Like, everyone in their job does really important work because we all function and we all create this society, right? So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that helps. Just know that you're not alone. Honestly, like, I think this happens more often than not. That's one really cool thing about doing what I do in my social media consulting firm, is working with a ton of different companies and seeing how they manage to run their business, how they treat their employees, how they interact with their customers. And for me, I know that that's really important to me. So now that I have an assistant, I am like always trying to make sure that I tell her how much I appreciate her and how good of a job she's doing. And same with like colleagues just at the radio station, even though it's not my place to do so. Like, I don't know. It's just, can we just spread the joy, spread the love? All right, that was a long answer. Hope that that helped you. We're coming into Hope right now and it starts to rain. That's always the joke for me, is like, when you're driving down to the Lower Mainland from the Okanagan, you hit Hope and it starts to rain, and it is.